2020 at 1:31 p.m. In accordance with General Statute 138A-15, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any board member have any conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to the matters coming before today? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from any undue participation in the particular matter involved. Are there any conflicts? The purpose of this meeting is to consider adopting emergency rules in response to Session Law 2020-3, Senate Bill 704. I'd like to call on Ms. Panico to read the rules.
Yes, so you all should have a copy of this emergency rule. It's 21 NCAB 57B.0615. And as Mr. Reitzel stated, this rule is proposed to be in compliance with Section Law 2020-3, specifically Section 4.38, which has specific requirements for state agencies to delay collection of fees, including extensions of renewal dates, and to delay or modify any educational or exam requirements. So this is to come into compliance with the session law, this emergency rule. So specifically, the proposal is to delay the deadline to pay the renewal fee until September 30th, 2020, without any late fees. And then coupled with that is an extension of completing the 7-hour USPAP continuing education course, so as long as it's completed prior to that date. And then, no, it doesn't affect any other deadline, so it's clarified it doesn't affect any other deadlines with regard to reinstatement or other late fees, just this deadline of September 30th for the extension of this renewal period only. In addition, until June 30th, 2020, schools and course sponsors for qualifying education and continuing education shall cancel or suspend all in-person courses. And that's already in effect right now. And then after that time, they can resume in person so long as it's consistent with any executive orders by the governor. And then until September 30th, 2020, courses and school and course sponsors can offer remote distance learning or continuing ed courses. And as we set forth in the rule what they need to do to offer the remote distance learning, and this is in the prior emergency rule that you all adopted as well. And then until September 30th, schools shall make up for qualifying continuing education courses, and until September 30th, schools and course sponsors may offer remote distance learning for qualifying education courses as long as it complies with IDEC, basically. And then all other board rules that apply to continuing education are still in effect, and qualifying education are still in effect that don't conflict with this rule. And then an appraiser licensee applicant who is unable to take the licensing examination within 1 year due to illness or test service location being closed shall make a written request to the board for an extension. The last part of this rule, which I just read, you already approved in a different rule, which is putting it all into one rule now, so that it's easier for licensees to find everything that the board is doing as one emergency rule. So that's all, unless you have specific questions about any of this.
So before I entertain a motion on this, Don, do you have any comment?
Two minor things. One, I would address, there's a question that's come from both the public and I think among some board members is, what impact will this have on the National Registry? We met with the IT person with the appraisal subcommittee in anticipation of an extension, and what will happen is anybody who has not, anybody who renews between now and June 30th will go ahead and update to show an expiration date of 6/30/21. If they do not renew as of July 1 of this year, they will go on the registry as having an expiration date of 9/30/2020 until they renew, and then it will then change over to 6/30/21. If they do not renew by 9/30/2020, that is when they will then lapse. But just so anybody would understand that. That said, there are software situations, people that have it programmed into their as clients and ANCs and lenders could all have somebody in their system as having an expiration date of 6/30/2020, and this 9/30/2020 number is going to conflict if an appraiser puts that on an appraisal report, so they probably are going to have to show them something. We will post something on our website that would allow appraisers proof that we have extended the deadline, but they will not get another credential except for their 6/21 renewal. They will not get an interim credential for 3 months. It just extends their current. The other thing is just to clarify the rule about USPAP, which was item 2 under the rule. The reason there is not a specific date is most of you know USPAP is tied to the renewal. You must, there is an extension built in that you can take longer to take it, but you still have to have it prior to renewing. So you can wait until July, August to take it, but you're going to have to wait until they report it before you can renew. Unlike, say, for example, the commission, you can take your A and take your C kind of out of in either order. And with us, you have to have the CE in order to renew. So that's just, but on our Q&A that we will put on the website, we will clarify that you must delay taking your back till after May 31st, finish it, and report it. You'll be able to. And I think
Sorry.
Any specific questions, any other questions?
Do any other board members have questions of Don or staff?
Yes, this is Chuck. So much of it is fading in and out. It's not clear to me. It's just a couple quick notes. My understanding then is 9/30/2020 renewal, and you can extend USPAP till that period has to be done. Is that correct?
Right, and sponsors generally they have 15 days to report. So I mean, if you get past say 9/15 of 2020, you could be in jeopardy of it not getting reported in time. Most of them get it before then, but you're not assured of anything. So I would, again, we will strongly encourage people to get it taken well in advance. Obviously, for the unintended consequences, we want them to go ahead and get renewed on time. But if they do need the extension, either for financial reasons or for just personal time constraints, we certainly want them avail them of it.
Yes, but then if I read down to item 4, line 23, I have the impression that, I don't know how accurate this is, that apparently in-person courses may resume at that time.
Well, that's in-class courses now, and there's we're having them. They're teaching the virtual classes and the traditional online classes currently. So people.
Yes, but I'm saying, I wonder if any of the instructors will do an in-person class after that date.
Well,
it might be easier for some of us to take the USPAP in person.
Right. If the governor's executive orders would allow it, I would not be surprised if there's 1 or 2 providers that would have a live office.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We can check with them. All right, that it handles my question, I believe.
All right.
Any other questions from other board members?
David, I have a question. This is Mike.
Yes, Mr. Warren.
Does this just overwrite the previous emergency rule, or do we need to do anything with it to make it expire so this one takes effect?
So I considered this as replacing the previous one because it incorporated it within it. But maybe for clarification, I used the same rule number also, which I don't know if the Rules Review Commission will let me do. I thought I would try it because it just incorporates the old rules in it. So I don't know if you need to rescind that one, but I guess it is rescinded because it's included in this, but it hasn't changed at all.
Okay, and I did just notice that you used the same rule number, so I just wanted to make sure we took appropriate action if we needed to rescind the other one to apply this one.
You could do that in one motion, rescind that one. Replace with this, correct. That probably is the cleanest way to do that.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions?
Yes, this is Lynn. I just have one question.
Yes, Lynn?
I noticed that under Section 7, where it talks about the schools may offer remote distance learning for qualifying education courses, it refers to, in accordance with Section, and it outlines some questions there of the NCAB criteria. I'm just wondering if that is the same as the criteria that's outlined in Section 5, where it talks about the distant learning for continuing education courses.
No, just for clarification on that, since you don't have it in front of you, qualifying ed requires, and generally continuing ed does, requires what is referred to as IDEC approval, which is the International Distance Education Certification Center. And they have to validate the delivery mechanism for online courses. That was waived by the AQB for continuing ed, which allows for the virtual courses you're seeing now around the state, which is, I think the most common platform is Zoom. So you've got the instructor and everybody's there, and their pictures are on the screen, and you're actually having the class in real time. The traditional CE courses are more of like a PowerPoint with it's timed, and you have to take little quizzes between to advance, and that's usually done with an IDEC approval. They did not waive that for qualifying ed. In other words, they didn't make an exception. So you still have to take it still has to meet those requirements in order for it to count for pre-licensing or qualifying ed. The reason for this rule is our trainee courses, basic appraisal principles, procedures, and the 15-hour USPAP course, we prohibit online classes for the training courses as the state. That's not a national prohibition. That's a North Carolina prohibition. So this rule allows what actually takes place in many states to occur in North Carolina during this time period. So they can, a trainee who's trying, or a person who's wanting to become a trainee, and take those online courses for this time period. And then once September 30th comes, they can complete anything they're enrolled in, but they won't be able to continue doing that unless we decide to make that a permanent rule change.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other questions from board members? Good. So then just to recap there what Don Don has said, and that, again, this was something that we had to do we had to provide this opportunity in response to Session Law 2020-3, Senate Bill 704. The board will send a Q&A out, and will strongly suggest that we follow the normal schedule for appraisers, if at all possible. Again, the only purpose of that for all licensees is any unintended consequences that the board has no control over that could occur with their clients, etc. So in light of that, if I could, may I have a motion from a board member?
This is Clay. I so motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
This is Claire.
So we have a second by Ms. Alfront. Is there any other questions or comments?
Dave, this is Mike.
Yes, Mike.
And correct me, Sandra, but I think you said it might be better to make the motion to rescind the previous version of this emergency rule and accept this version of the emergency rule. Is that correct? Or replace it? Okay, can I ask that Mr. Taylor's motion be modified to rescind the previous version and accept this version?
Mr. Taylor.
I accept that.
Very good. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor to rescind the first one? Say aye.
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 Any opposition? Motion carried. Now I would entertain a motion for the new rule, please.
I think you did it all in one.
We're good? Are we good, Don?
Yes,
sir. Okay.
Yeah, he rescinded and replaced.
Okay. Good. All right. With that, I will, before adjourning, any other comments from staff?
I just want to say the online renewal system did go into effect close to midnight last night. Around lunchtime, we had about 120 people had renewed online, and so we are, I think, as Ms. Carmichael told some of you on the call, she did it, and Mr. Rice early to try to help us make sure it was working. So far so good. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed that we don't have any glitches, but it appears to be working.
Thank you. Sandra, anything else from your end?
No, I don't.
Okay. Anything else from any board members? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Warren, do I have a second?
Did you believe I seconded?
And a second by Ms. Carmichael. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Great. Thank you for your time, everyone. Hope everyone has stays safe and has a good rest of the day. Thank you.